I'm dressed in this manner because I know that prayers can work in other countries and even in America. However, I also know that America already has perfect empathy with Islam because the founders, not knowing what was on the other side of the Rockies, structured our Constitution in a way that would eliminate the threat of those things in Scripture that were evil and offensive and dangerous to religion. We have 7 articles. We have the first 10 amendments is the Bill of Rights. We have a preamble. And not knowing what was on the other side of the Rockies, I was always with the impression that they must have thought that whatever the heck that is, it better learn how to read before it tries to walk here. This resulted in perfect empathy with religions everywhere. And so prayer was never required by any of us. And, certainly can work here in groups for specific non-governmental type reasons. But in regard to government, the Establishment Clause is very clear. Because persons who speak of prayer and unity in Rochester, with these things going on, doing nothing to stop them, are not speaking of prayer. And these people, of course, pay their pleas. We go down a list from memory for the court. 2 child murders, John Monet and Kelly Poulton. Kelly was murdered as if this thing couldn't keep the apparition going into a second year without a child being killed right there in Rochester. Then came, the Oklahoma bomb, the entire Matt Hale episode, 1 policeman killed in Georgia, the flattening of the courts in Westchester County as a path for 911, and then 911 itself. And then, as I reported, the apparition before the attack on 911, because I looked it up, to Condoleezza at NSA. It was a vision of a welcome doormat. And she related that to the president. And the president, later on, because it linked to an Elton John copyright about a Valerie and a war. President, when the husband of Valerie Plame became somewhat insubordinate, decided that since one couldn't put a lid on an Elton John song anyway, that started the Scooter Libby matter. But in 1995, some relevant material in Westchester County, I was blockaded from obtaining by the National Alliance and Don Black, who did not give my messages to David Duke because I could not access them without him. I should also add to that list a stolen submarine that resulted in an execution without trial of Gary Graham Shaka Sankofa with 2 hostages, Mamiya Abu Jamal in Pennsylvania and the former H. Rap Brown in Georgia. All of these things are tied in to the John Leary Rochester story, which was for years condoned by the bishop, who had a priest sit right alongside him, and a tax-exempt bishop paid, and a tax-exempt priest who was paid, sat right alongside all this for years. And so when I hear about unity in Rochester, and I know that to this day, even though the Catholic Church after 9/11 backed off, and instead of saying it's evil, they said it was of human origin. Well, that isn't true, because I once called John Leary because one of his messages said, Jesus is saying people are like this car. So I called him and asked, the vision showed up with a car? He said, no, he just implied it was there. I said, robbers do that. He said, I know, but the priest said it was all right. Now, I did find out at the end of 2008 and in 2009 what Duke could have helped me find in 2005 before Katrina and before Libby resigned. And I've included it in what I've already listed. So I want to get a little more specific, and especially with, I want to get a little more specific and then continue this into a part 2 and end it shortly. Because persons who speak of prayer and unity in Rochester, with these things going on and doing nothing to stop them, are not speaking of prayer as we know it. Or is the court being asked to deem murders, racketeering, court assaults, terrorism as free exercise? That's ridiculous. The court can go on the internet and take judicial notice of, there are photographs of little Kaylee Poulton, Kalipoulton, and John Benet Ramsey. They look strikingly similar, but strikingly similar to something that the court has never seen, that I'm going to put a picture up of now. The little baby with the golden witch hat, that statue was taken out in 1954 and again in the 70s. The 54 was the 50th anniversary of the coronation, which coincided with the exit of Herzl and the birth of Ayn Rand. The little baby looks exactly like those two girls in close-up photos when the statue was taken out. In the John Leary messages of December 1996, the visions began with the genealogy of Jesus. That was the title of the chapter. And after John Benet was killed, the last lines were, "Let this be a lesson to all of you who live life in the fast lane." In conclusion of this introductory part, I told the police in Rochester, I called Boulder, Colorado. I told the FBI, I even told the State Department. The genealogy of Jesus does not refer to the Father. There is a statue in Manhattan. Now, the Catholic Church changed the looks of that statue after I named it in the 80s. But that doesn't matter. The pictures are still in the church, and anyone can see that close-ups of that long blonde-haired baby with a witch hat look exactly like those two little girls.